Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Today I'm showing you how to use your Garmin Livescope to find cover and fish in really shallow water. Everybody loves using it around suspended trees, suspended bait to catch bass that way, but this is a way that not a lot of people are doing, or at least talking about, that they're using their Panoptics. And it's a way that has helped me catch a ton of fish the last few weeks, and I'm really excited to show you how to use your Panoptics in what's probably a little bit different way than you have been.
That's a whale.
I really started getting stressed. That's like, oh my gosh. Tickled to death.
How's that to start your morning?
Well, that was freaking awesome. That was so cool. You know, this place that we're at now is a great example of a kind of place that's easy to do this. So we're just in a really shallow pocket. We're sitting right in the middle of it. It's got a couple of boat docks around it. And it's got a lot of wood that we can't see just by looking at it. Even with, you know, a good pair of polarized glasses, there's a lot of brush just scattered out here that we can't see. What made me realize how helpful this is was first of all, when I pulled up, it was actually this boat dock right here. So we're not deep. We're in 5 feet of water. This whole bay is pretty shallow. And everybody loves using Panoptics when you're out deep and you're suspended. And yeah, I've caught a lot of fish this year using it that way. But it's also really good for this. But here's what we got. I've already kicked up some mud. I mean, we're really shallow. So obviously we've got some dock poles out in front of us. One thing, and that's still a pretty good ways away, I've got it looking out to 70 feet. There's some fish right in front of us there. I'll kind of just try to pan it real slow. But you can get, if you'll play with your settings a little bit, you can still get a clear image. Got a couple fish right there. You can still get a really clear image if you're in shallower water. You're just probably gonna have to be a little bit closer to it. That's some fish moving right there. But this boat dock right here, as I get closer, we'll see it better. There's actually a trench that's dug out underneath that slip that I never would have known was there if I didn't have Panoptics, because I'm cruising around in 3-4 feet and then I hit a little 6-7 foot dip, and it's just where they've dug that out for when the water falls. And the last couple of weeks, every time I fish this dock, I've been able to catch a couple just in that trench, and I've been able to see them on here kind of swimming around. Using that Panoptic this shallow has been really good for not just finding brush, but also figuring out which docks have got the most activity up underneath them. Oh. Had a bite up there. So I can look, I'm looking right here, and it's gonna be kind of hard because I'm trying to sit still and the wind's blowing a little bit, but I can tell, and it's gonna take some getting used to. There's a couple fish sitting around this front dock post, I can tell. That's a fish there. It'll take you a little bit of playing with it and getting used to where exactly your transducer's pointing. But, you know, once you've played with it a little bit, I can tell that there's at least probably half a dozen fish or so, just that I can see, and there's surely more, that are sitting underneath that walkway, underneath that little patio lower to the water covered part of the dock. And this has been, just Panoptics in general, has been really good about helping me go down a row of docks and figuring out if there's 1 or 2 docks that I need to spend more time on. Because if I'll pan underneath one and don't see anything, then as I'm going by, I might make just a couple obvious flips, you know, maybe one to some of these edges and just one up underneath as far as I can go. But if I don't see anything underneath them, I'm gonna spend a lot less time. So this right here, this is fish. This is that big piece of timber sticking up right there. Now obviously it's not hard to see, but just knowing that, okay, well about halfway, a little closer to it, but about halfway between me and that tree, there was a pod of 3-4 fish. They look like bass, they may not be, but you really quickly start to figure out, like, okay, how are they relating to the wood that I can see? Where are they at in relation to the wood that I can't see when we start marking it? And instead of just kind of aimlessly casting or just targeting the docks and the stuff you can see, you start having a lot more targets to throw at. So here's a good example. Big brush pile out in front of us is probably, it's only about 30 feet this direction. It's off that dock. If you're fishing the dock, you don't ever know it's there. And I saw a couple, if I can pan around real slow. Once you kind of get used to looking at this, you can pan through it and kind of pick out fish as you're panning like that, believe it or not. if I'm gonna flip it this a couple times, you're not gonna see the fish in it all the time. It's not like suspended fish where it's gonna be like, oh, there's obviously a bass in there. It being shallow makes it a little bit harder to see them in it. Also, just the fact that if they're in it real tight, you're just not gonna see them. But I promise there are plenty of times they're gonna be in there. And that's what it looks like. It's not super detailed, but it's obviously some sort of cover that's out there. Let me make a pan for you. So, looking at about 70 feet, probably not quite to the dock yet, but I'm panning across, all that right there is brush. You got bait out here in front of it up top. That's probably not that, but I think I marked a fish in front of it right there. But when I mentioned just saying that I'm panning around and looking, that's what I'm looking for. And you may not see the fish in it, but it's giving you somewhere to cast. It's giving you a target to throw at that most people probably aren't throwing at, unless they're sitting on that dock throwing at it because they know it's there because they're the ones that placed it. So I'll take my foot, turn till I see like, okay, yeah, that looks pretty active right there. I'm just gonna make a cast in that general direction, probably pretty well past it, but I know I'm gonna be dragging it into it by the time I get back to the boat. And in this spot at least, like there's a bunch of brush out there. So if I make a cast anywhere towards this dock, and I can look at this and tell, all right, anywhere from there to that dock, I'm probably gonna hit brush when I bring it through it. So it may not be as targeted of, coming through and flipping to a little individual stump or pile. But if I'm just coming through here and flipping a dock, I don't know without looking at Livescope that there's a bunch of brush out there. So it's helpful for that. Oh, he bit it. So I just marked some brush under this left edge. There he is. Oh, goodness gracious, good sakes alive. So, it's just a little smallmouth, but and it's not a lot of brush. That's a couple fish sitting out in front of that first post. Let me see if I can. It's a little cloudy, but right there, right there. When you get that big cloud right there in between those two columns, if it's there consistently, that's something in the water. That's not just a weird return thing. So I can feel it when I'm in there. I mean, honestly, it feels like it might just be like a little Christmas tree or something, but are you gonna fish the edge of that dock anyways? Probably. But if you know there's something in there that's holding a couple, I even marked one out off of this edge. Maybe you make a couple more flips and catch one because of it.